Alright, I just want to make a short video about the locus of control, because that is a term that is often used by therapists, but I don't think it's understood widely by the general population. I think part of it is that the language is very confusing when you say external locus of control or internal locus of control. Well, what's locus? What's control mean? What you're trying to control? It's all very confusing. So I just want to try and simplify it so that the concept is a lot easier for people to understand. And I think when I go through that, and you'll see the value in understanding this concept. So firstly, what's the control part? The control part isn't talking, generally, it isn't talking about thoughts or talking about actions. It's actually focusing on the feelings. You know how therapists are constantly asking, how do you feel about that? Because the feelings are a very important part of being in control, of having self-control. If you don't have control over your feelings, you don't actually have any free will. Your feelings just override you and you just act on impulse and you do silly, stupid things that you regret later on. And so, understanding how feelings work is really important to getting that self-control, that free will, and that self-responsibility in your life. Now, the locus part. Now, locus is just a fancy word for location. And generally, we talk about there being two locations, internal and external. And you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, there are two worldviews. There is the very popular one that is that emotions are controlled by other people. The external locus of control is what it's put. And I say it's popular because it seems like that's what a majority of people believe, just like talking to people. I don't think there's ever been a survey because you can't really survey that question. But the impression I get as a therapist in my day-to-day life and my clients is that the vast majority of people believe that there's an emotional, external control for your emotions. Other people make you feel things. And you can see that in the language when people say like, she made me feel stupid, or he made me feel angry. And in all those sentences, the person is in the passive voice. They're the object being acted upon. The other person's making them feel. And the other view is the view that is more common amongst therapists, is that you have internal control over your emotions. They are not controlled by other people, that you are the one who decides what you feel by your beliefs and values. And I'm going to go through the argument for both of them. So I'm going to explain what the argument for the external control of emotions is, and then I'm going to go through the view that is more typical therapists like myself. So with the external view, I'll use an example. So just say there's this woman, Susan, and she has a husband, Fred. And she has got a new dress. And she asks her husband, Fred, hey, Fred, what do you think of my new dress? Now, Fred might say something like, I think you look beautiful. Now, Susan, because beautiful is a nice thing, it's a positive thing, she now feels joy because her husband, Fred, has just said that her new dress looks beautiful. And that's what she wanted, I presume. Now, what if Fred had said something different? What if Fred had said, oh, you look fat. You look fat in that dress. And that's a bad thing. That's a negative thing. And Susan starts feeling like, oh my God, ugh, I feel awful. Like, and her husband's just, well, from the external point of view, it's like Fred made her feel joy when he said that she was beautiful. And then Freud made her feel frustrated, angry, hurt when he said that she looked fat. And Fred is the one with control, is what they would argue. Fred chose his words, and his words had a particular impact on Susan and made her feel in a particular way. And now the argument from this continues that if Susan wants to control her feelings, she needs to be able to find a way to make Fred say the things that she wants to say. And this could be like in a positive way, like she could be encouraging Fred to say the right things so that he only says things to her that makes her feel happy. Or it could be in a more negative way where she punishes Fred and he has to suffer consequences if he says the wrong things, to encourage Fred to say less of the negative things and more of the positive things. And that way, Susan gets more control over her feelings by controlling Fred. and anyone else in her life who tries to say things that she doesn't want to hear, and encourage them, presumably through others saying nice things, just be a nice positive person, as they say, and get them to say positive things to Susan. And that's the only way Susan can control her feelings. She can't control them internally. She has to control other people and get them to say and do the things that she wants them to say and do, so that she can feel good. So that's the argument from the external control thing. Now, the other view, the internal locus of control, as they say, is the view that your feelings are purely created by you. They're your creation. And so if we went through the example again, where we had a friend, Fred, and Fred was saying to his wife, well, I think you look beautiful in that dress. What I'd be saying, as a person who advocates for the internal view, is that Susan has a belief that she looks beautiful already, or that she can trust her husband, that he is an honest man. And so when he says that she looks beautiful, she agrees. She says that's true. And so she's happy because Fred agrees with her and that she has made the right selection. Now, I'd also point out, just say that Susan didn't believe that Fred was telling the truth. What if she believed that Fred was lying and that she believed that she was in fact fat? Well, she might feel hurt that Fred just lied to her. Her husband's just lying to her and saying what he thinks she wants to hear. And she might feel quite upset that she can't rely on her husband to tell her the honest truth. And so suddenly it doesn't look like Fred actually has that much power. And you can extend it. So what if Fred says, oh, I think you're fat? And Susan doesn't believe she's fat. And she thinks, oh, my husband's joking. And she starts laughing with joy. Well, in that case, we see that Susan, it doesn't even matter what Fred's going to say. Susan's still going to take it as funny. I mean, she's going to laugh if he says that she's fat, and she's going to be happy if he says that she's beautiful. I mean, she can't lose with any of those views, but alternatively, she might interpret Fred saying that as being some kind of animosity or aggression. She might worry that that's a problem with their relationship, that he's deliberately saying things that are mean, that she herself doesn't really care whether or not she's fat. She's more concerned with the fact that he said something mean. And again, so it's almost pointless what Fred says. In fact, I actually even know of one example of a woman who said that she was happy when her husband lied to her. That she felt that her husband lying to her and telling her that she looked beautiful when she didn't believe that she was comforted her, because it meant that her husband was so scared of her that he was too afraid to say anything that would upset her, and that made her feel like that she had power. And again, that's all about beliefs, though. I mean, she isn't necessarily safer because she believes that, and she isn't necessarily happy if she believes that she's beautiful and he says she's beautiful. All the feelings are doing is they're coming from her beliefs, the things that she believes to be true, where her feelings are coming from. They're not coming from what Freddie's saying. There's effectively all these filters in Susan's brain, which are saying, like, is that true, not true? Is that a good thing or bad thing? For all we know, Susan is going to a fancy dress party and she wants to look fat. And so her husband's saying she looks fat, and he may not know her intentions. She might take that, yes, I succeeded. I look fat for the costume party tonight. So you can't really tell. It's all under the control of what your beliefs are and how your mindset, you could say, of looking at the situation. So they're the two views. Now, most people do advocate the external view, and this is problematic, very problematic, because that encourages the idea that you have to control and manipulate people. You can't trust people, you can't negotiate with people. You've got to train people in your life to treat you well, and that's kind of taking power in your life is basically controlling, dominating other people. Whereas in the internal locus of control view, taking control of your life is about examining your life, examining your thoughts, your opinions, your beliefs, where you got them, and what's good, what's bad. I mean, is it good to be looking beautiful? Because, some people might say it's a danger to look beautiful, that you might attract the wrong attention if you look too beautiful. And so beauty can be a curse. So there's pros and cons to everything. And you gain power over your feelings by getting a more mature complicated filter, you could say, of the world, and a more complicated way of looking at how people answer things, as opposed to having this very simplistic view of like, that's good, that's bad, yeah, beauty's good, fat's bad, that kind of thing. But yeah, you develop yourself and you develop your perspective and your outlook on life. And so that's generally, what therapists are talking about when we talk about internal and an external locus of control. I hope that's helped demystify it. And hopefully you can help you see how boundaries might be violated by people when they misunderstand how these things work. And I'm kind of curious, where do you sit? Are you an external view locus, or are you an internal locus? Let me know if you want. Otherwise, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. That really helps. And until next time, per spera ad astra.